Brenda, Allison, Bob, Tiffany, and all the other One Dharma Center members. I think by this class, we can not only strengthen our karma with the Buddha and his teaching, our karmic tie, Dharma affinity self will be very strengthened, which will become very precious asset for our practice as well as for our life.
And I'm so happy. I'm Grace. I'm currently teaching at the One Institute, and it's my pleasure to be co-teaching with Reverend Yu also this semester. And I hope that you all consider this kind of as our community journey through practice. So it's going to be an insightful and fun time together. So before we go into the topic for today, I will start with just a review for all of us before Reverend Yu goes into the items of mindfulness and daily application. So let me just show, let me see. Just a kind of review of, especially for those who did not take our canon class last semester. I want to start just actually with a reflection of where we're at as, you know, think about it, 2021. I think about, I sometimes think this randomly, maybe when I'm walking, it's 2021, there's like 195 countries, about 7.8 billion people, and I'm a one Buddhist. How did that happen? And here we are at the One Institute in this class together, talk about causes and conditions. And so just taking a moment of recognizing that, you know, the graces seen and unseen that have made it possible for us to be here today. And what's great about this practice as we start progressing through the course is that we start to realize that the Buddha Dharma is our daily life, and daily life is our Buddha Dharma. That in the morning is our time to reset, so that when we go into the world in the day, whether we're working or taking care of our children, engaging in meetings and so forth, or with Shiloh too. Shiloh is in this, that we are trying to bring the practice into whatever it is that we're doing. And that in the evening, it's our time for reflection and a time for emptying and the time for making an intention. So through this semester, it's really about contemplating, am I applying what I know? Or am I staying on the realm of knowing? Right? Because Master Sotasan once said, "It is crucial that you transmit my Dharma to posterity by writing it down and explaining it orally. However, it is even more important that by practicing it with your bodies and realizing it with your minds, you ensure that this Dharma lineage is never severed. If you do so, the merit will be incalculable." So this emphasis about not just knowing, but actually practicing it, actually realizing it, awakening to it. So for the review, I really think it's important just to understand the table of contents of the Principal Book of One Buddhism. So last semester, we really focused on the general introduction and doctrine. So you can see that the Principal Book of One Buddhism as split it into three parts, right? General introduction, doctrine, and practice. This semester, we'll be focusing on practice. But how does this all connect together? I think that's what's important. What are the significance of each section? And I think it's easier to see these three parts as more of a why, what, and how. Right? Why, what, and how. In the general introduction, which is the first part of our principal book, it's split into two chapters: the founding motive of the teaching and outline of the teaching. This tells us the why One Buddhism started. Why are we, called to practice this? Why are we doing this mind study? What is our purpose? And it's clearly stated in the founding motive of the teaching. So if we did not have that founding motive, the chances are is if somebody asked us, what's why did one Buddhism form? Each of us would have a different answer. But because this founding motive of the teaching exists, it's very clear what our calling is to do. It's very clear why Master Sotasan created this teaching during this time and for the time ahead. And in the outline of the teaching, he makes it very clear that there's a clear connection with Buddhism. However, one Buddhism is a very, a Buddhism relevant for this contemporary era. And so he explains that in more detail. So if you have a chance, please do read these chapters to get a sense of why One Buddhism started, why Master Sotasan appeared when he did during this time. The second part was what we focused really on last semester, which is the what. And the what are the fundamental principles of One Buddhism? So this chapter is extremely important, and there's a reason why it comes before practice, because it introduces us to the essential teachings of the truth of Week1, the fourfold grace, the four essentials, threefold study, 8 articles, the essential ways of human life and of practice, and the 4 great principles. And if you want to get a more a model or a picture of this, then the doctrinal chart is very helpful because it has all of these essential fundamental principles in one picture. So you get to kind of see what the connections are. Right? So again, the why tells us why One Buddhism started. Here, it's what are the fundamental principles of One Buddhism. And that takes us to the how. And that's where we are in this semester. And check out the how. Look how long this list is, because Master Sotasan says, listen, the theory fundamental principles are there. The practice is the hard work. So as we progress during this semester, it's not going to be easy, but it will definitely be meaningful. Right? And it starts, if the language is very important here too, because if you look at the language, the essential dharmas of daily, right, or fixed term training, daily, we're talking about time here. How are you using your time? Are you bringing self-power with other power? How are you using your money? How are you using your time? These are very important questions, because you can tell somebody's mind state by how they use their money and how they use their time, right? Time doesn't discriminate. Everyone is given 24 hours, but how are you going to use it? And this is becoming even more important as scientific civilization continues to develop. So to sum up, it's why do we train? What's the purpose of One Buddhism? What are the fundamental principles? And now what we are going to learn is how do we train this precarious, subtle mind? And this is where Reverend Yu will come in to really introduce us to the first step of the essential items of mindfulness.
Can you hear me clearly? Okay. One of the greatest Buddhist master in Asia was Ma Zhou. He is the 6th patriarch, Huineng's disciple and disciple's disciple. Ma literally means horse. One day, Huineng, the 6th patriarch, told to his followers, in the near future, one wild horse will be born and he will trample all the world. He indicated Master Ma Zhou. Master Ma Zhou became the novice in his mid-teens in some monastery. He was highly motivated to attain great enlightenment. Day in, day out, year in, year out, he practiced sitting meditation. As most of you already know this story, one day, his teacher started to polish brick on the stone. So you can imagine the creak, very annoying sound next to Majo, who has observed in meditation. So that novice was somewhat upset, and he asked to his teacher, "Master, what are you doing? Don't you see I'm meditating right now?" The master said, "I'm making a mirror out of this brick." The Majo, the novice, burst into laughter. "Master, how can you make a mirror out of a brick?" Then the master replied, "How can you become a Buddha? By just sitting." That was very enlightening moment. Probably Majo came to practice meditation more or less. That's not the point. The point is he discovered the path of practice, the path to liberation and nirvana. Our founding master, when you read one Buddhist scripture, in the original Korean, particularly in the canon part, you encounter lots of word, gongbu. It's translated as a mind practice, dharma study and practice. But at the same time, you can see lots of word like gongbu gil. It's used almost as the same meaning. Our founding master used that as a synonym. Gongbu gil means the path of practice. The path of practice. Our founding master often asked to his students, "Did you discover Gongbu gil? Did you discover the path of practice? When you drive to the nearby supermarket, you have to follow the path. You are not supposed to enter other people's house. Even when you come to this class, you have to follow the exact path to the Zoom link." Likewise, in our life, in our practice, there is a path. That's very important. Without knowing or discovering the path, just driving your car very diligently does not mean anything. You can be the Zen master Majo, who practiced meditation a lot. But through this class, we needed to reflect ourselves. Did we really find the path of practice? This Dharma study class will teach us that path. As Grace beautifully introduced, founding motive, why our founding master built a house called the One Buddhism to lead all sentient beings to paradise. The second chapter, the second part 2, on doctrine means his blueprint, how he built a house. So this semester, how we can utilize and all those things inside the house we need to utilize the house. Yeah. On practice, for the first, there are lots of chapters in part 3, but in this class canon 2, we will focus 6 items of mindfulness in daily practice and 6 items of mindfulness regarding temple visit or Dharma session, and essential dharmas of daily practice, and the timeless meditation and the placeless meditation. That will cover all those chapters of part 3. So it's we will lead this class in a very practical way, Okay, let's the essential dharmas of daily practice. Okay, share this. One day, our founding master, before he wrote one Buddhist canon, he asked to his disciples, in the future, in order to create a dharma for future generations, for the people all over the world, what do you think is a direction? How are we create the Buddha Dharma? So some students asked, some students answered in a different way, but Master Jongsan, our second head Dharma master, he was 18 years old at the time. Master Jongsan replied, future Dharma should fit our daily life, our real life. Our founding master replied, you read my mind. So Buddha Dharma is a daily life. Daily life is the Buddha Dharma. That's the direction. It's a kind of a motto of one Buddhism. For that direction, practice format has been modernized, renovated. From sitting meditation to timeless meditation and the placeless meditation. In order they offer prayer before the Buddha image, worshiping Shakyamuni Buddha or Manjushri Bodhisattva, etc. But the direction of a faith has been renovated and enlarged. Everywhere Buddha image. Catherine, Christine, Tiffany, John, etc. Everybody is Buddha, and every act is a Buddha offering. You're giving a ride for your children. You're raising your children. You're cooking, our washing, driving. That's also the Buddha offering. In that way, traditional Buddha Dharma has been modernized in the direction to realize Buddha Dharma is a daily life is a Buddha Dharma. Why don't you pick up? Think about just the one word. What could be the essence of a daily practice? Why don't you type? Is that chat? Type one word.
Yes, in the chat room.
At the chat room, type one word.
So repeat the question again, Reverend Yu.
Write down just the one word. What is the essence of our daily practice? Essence, one word. You have a 30 seconds.
No pressure.
Very good.
I really don't know how to use the chat. Do you just type the word in and then it shows up? Yeah. So dedication is there. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I don't see it.
Just type it and hit return.
Return.
Or enter.
Yeah.
Okay, it's good. Time's up. Okay. Some student wrote meditation or scripture study, mind choice, whatever things. But this one world could embrace, encompass all world that you just wrote. Mindfulness. Sometimes we need to become mindful to practice sitting meditation. Sometimes we need to become mindful to study scripture. Sometimes we need to become mindful to make a sound good choice by become compassionate, understanding, not being lazy, whatever thing. Mindfulness encompasses all our practice. When I was in junior high, I learned playing tennis from one coach. I was not good at that. And the coach, I was very nervous. He was very strict. And my body was so tense. After a couple of months, he told me, Mujin, my legal name, Mujin, yeah, Mujin. Only when I grasp the racket very hard, it's a very energy consuming, it's a very energy draining job. Huh? Only when the ball hits the racket, you can hold the racket tight. Otherwise, you can just relax. Just watch the ball to the end. When we try to become mindful in each and everything, in so many things, that will drain our energy. First of all, it will not work. You will lose interest in spiritual practice. But in several things, you become mindful, you become successful, not just in your practice area, in all things in your life. What we learned this month, 6 items of mindfulness in daily life is that fundamental thing. If you become mindful, these are 6 items. Other very important thing will follow very naturally. 6 items of mindfulness in daily practice is composed. How can we carry out 3 for the practice, 3 for the study in our daily life? It's a very, very practical thing. The point is mindfulness. How many of you have visited the Iksan city where the Won Buddhism headquarters is located, Iksan? Raise your hand, how many? Okay. So John, Kathy, do you know 30 years ago, 1/3 of the Iksan city was completely destroyed? 1/3 of that section was blown away. In front of the train station. It is because one train crew, his job is to check all the train engine, he's a mechanic. During the winter time, it was cold and he was very tired. Inside some cabin, he lighted a candle and he accidentally fell asleep for probably more than 1 hour. The candle got completely melted. At that time, the floor of the cabin was a wooden material with lots of boxes inside. Do you know what's inside those boxes? Explosives, gunpowders. It's a freight train. 1/3 of the city were blown away. More than 200 people died. It started very, very small unmindfulness. He was mindless in a very, very small area, but the consequence was huge. He not only lost his life, but a lot of people were led to death. Probably in your practice, probably in your life, there is some area of unmindfulness that can cause a serious consequence in your life or practice. It can be laziness, or it can be being a little untrustworthy, or whatever things, or become too greedy, whatever area. So let's focus on this fundamental 6 items of mindfulness. So today, I would like to say the first one. I will read that. In all your actions, in all your applications, be mindful to make choices with a sound thought. Yeah, let me read again. Be mindful to make choices with a sound thought. Venerable Desan, our third head Dharma master, said, this is the essence of the 6 items of daily practice. This is simultaneous carrying out the threefold practice. Simultaneous carrying out threefold study. Cultivation of a spirit, cultivation of a wisdom, cultivation of a right conduct, choice in action. So be mindful to make a choice, choice in action. With a sound thought is the translation of 온전한 생각, sound 온전. 온전 literally means well-balanced, round, unbiased. It has meaning. Let's just see, when you ordered a pizza from Domino, but when you open the case, you discovered, wow, one piece is missing. It should be a new pizza. That's not 온전. That's not sound. 생각, thought. 생각 is a thinking mind thought. Why this item is the most important? Because the fruit of our practice is should be realized in our actual life. Our choice should be the fruit of your Dharma study and your spiritual cultivation practice. Be mindful to make choices with the sound thought. Why this is the fruit? Because what you choose shape your destiny. Your happiness, agony, whatever things, depends on your choice. Your spouse, they make a big difference in your life. That's what you chose. Your occupation, your career, how important in your life. That's what you chose. Choice in action is the fruit of our practice. This is the first item. How can we make a very wise, good choice? First of all, when you make a wrong choice, in my case, for example, when I lose my center, when I'm upset, when I'm angry, then my judgment got blurred. I came to say something which is really unnecessary, unreasonable, etc. For example, everybody, Kathy, Brenda, when you teach your children, when you scold your children, when you're angry, probably it will not work. They will not listen. Our mind should be peaceful and calm first. Then, when Zen master said, flowing water cannot reflect the moon accurately. The moon symbolizes our innate wisdom. Tranquility of the mind and the wisdom cannot be separated. That's why all enlightened masters has practiced meditation a lot. Yesterday, I received a text message from Kathy. Her meditation, the depth was very amazing. So wisdom part, peacefulness of the state, the spiritual cultivation part always go together. That is the foundation of making a very good choice. So make a choice with a sound thought. So in our daily life, we need to practice to stop, bring our mind to a pause. When you go to the hotel, let's just say Holiday Inn, with the suitcase, when you come closer to the entrance, the door automatically opens, just like any supermarket, Walmart, even at the Walmart, the door opens automatically. Anybody can come inside. The door does not care whether they are thief or not. Whether the customers are rich or poor, they don't care. My brother adopted one dog. My brother is living in an apartment in Seoul. There are too many vendors knocking the door. So in order to be away, cast off those unwanted vendors, he adopted one dog. It didn't work. Do you know why? Whomever comes to the door, that dog was so happy, so welcoming. He's supposed to bark to the vendor, but he's always happy, wiggling his tail. Our mind can work in that way. Even some unwholesome information, visual things, auditory things, whatever stimulus they are. People in contemporary society, we are inundated with so many informations. So we need, our third head Dharma master said, we need to set up a checkpoint in our mind, checkpoint, in order to realize sound thought, sound thought. Meditation is important, but meditation in action. When we are involved in daily life, we need to check up, set up our checkpoint in order to let some just necessary information come in our mind, in our life, and shut the door to the unwholesome things. For the sound thought, our third head Dharma master said, we need 마음의 근문소, means the checkpoint of our mind. That's the first thing. And the second part, with the sound thought, the second part is the sound thought, the wisdom part. Even though you are not upset, you are calm, very peaceful, but that does not necessarily mean you become very wise. You're upset, then probably your judgment can be very much misleading. Even when you are very calm, our judgment can be sometimes wrong. We are not sure in some situation what's the best choice or path. Our third head Dharma master said, first, you need to check where mind is calm and focus. That's the first thing. The second thing, if you're not sure what is the best decision, in order to get the answer, ask to your teacher, ask to your Dharma friend, borrow the wisdom from other people. You do not have to struggle by yourself. That's why this kind of group study class is important. For example, if I'm not sure at the One Dharma whether we need to buy the generator or not, or we need to pave the way or not, all these things, at the morning staff meeting, we discuss that. Not any one minister is not expert. But you know what? Generally speaking, the discussion conclusion come to the very right decision. Ask the wisdom of the other people. What time did I start? Can I talk 5 more minutes? Okay, yeah, I forgot. Yeah. And if you are not sure the answer, but that decision is very important, that solution is very critical, you have nobody to ask. Not any your family member, Dharma friend, teacher may know the answer. Wow. You can be involved in inner conflict. In that case, our third head Dharma master recommended. I love this recommendation, which I frequently use. Do you know what? Forget about that for a while. Letting go. Don't think about that for a while. And after some time, revisit again. You need a good period of rest. One psychologist conducted this experiment. It's a solving some logical problem. One group of people studied, they were asked to solve some very simple mathematical problem. It's a kind of a mental exercise, to warm up exercise. Another group was watching the video of Mother Teresa in order to calm down their mind that a great sacred life aspiration can be given rise to, can be aroused. The third group, they watched a comedy, 10-minute comedy. Which group solved that matter, that nonsense quiz, very greatly? The group of students who watched comedy. When our mind is completely relaxed and become very empty and clear, very creative idea comes up. Great artists always have their own way of meditation. They may not practice sitting meditation with the Buddhist style, but so posing our mind is that important. So based on tranquility of mind, based on the wisdom, the last thing is we need to be very bold and courageous to make a very good choice. If we don't carry out that great wisdom or judgment, our third head Dharma master said, it's just like a bounced check. It's useless. So think about in your daily life, the point is mindfulness, particularly make a choice, a good choice with a sound thought. That's a simultaneous carrying out of the threefold study. That's the essence of the daily practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Yu. And how about any question now after you heard, I think Reverend Yu talked about so many great points, starting with the path of practice, even explain the obstacles to practice, and then really explaining in detail the threefold practice and how it's related to the first item. So I'd just like to open up today, since it's our first day, just to have a large group discussion or questions that may have come up for you, or insights or reflections, or just even sharing what does your mindfulness practice look like right now? Or what obstacles do you feel you face, such as he was mentioning, like laziness or certain desires or untrustworthiness. Anything come up? Yeah, Brenda? I think Brenda and then Bob. Well, Brenda and then Bob, yeah.
Okay, a couple things. One is that, so I'm still very new to having kind of that emptiness. It's ideal to be clear and empty, but I find that when that starts to happen, I get anxious. I start to get nervous about it, or I something automatically just makes me flutter up again. So I'm finding that. And then also I'm finding when I am practicing, my physical sensations of pain are just constantly thumping on me as well. So I'm not sure what's going on, but that's what I'm experiencing lately.
Yeah, since I talked a lot, so Grace or other students can answer that question.
So any of our family here, after listening to Brenda's sharing, any advice, or if you've experienced something similar, what have you done?
Years ago, decades ago, actually, I had a difficult time after a divorce, and this was 3 or 4 decades ago. Anyway, and I had little money, so I bought a cheap guitar and taught myself to play the guitar. I found I could not think about anything else while I was concentrating on that music. I wasn't a very good musician and I couldn't read music, but anyway, working on that. And then recent years, a year or so ago, I took up some wood carving. Again, I'm not very good at it, but I was reproducing some Native American carvings I saw in Alaska. And again, I found having to concentrate on that, my mind was completely clear. You couldn't think about anything else while I was doing that. I really had to pay attention. For a short time, I had one of those coloring books that they make for adults. A very fine design and all that, and you get a bunch of colored pencils and you have to color it in. Again, I found I couldn't think about anything else. During the music, the carving, the coloring in, my mind was absolutely clear. And so part of the reason I'm taking this course is my sitting meditation has been terrible. I'm just not good at it. Laziness, lack of dedication, sore knees, whatever it is. And so one of my goals for this year is to work on that. But if it doesn't work, I have these other things that I can try. And I think I may have mentioned in the last course, I like to walk a lot since my gymnasium closed. And some of you may know, Reverend Wang Gong in Chapel Hill has made a couple of CDs of her prayers and chants. Well, I have a little portable CD player, and earphones, and they're an hour long, so I can walk for an hour. That's about 3 miles. And I'm listening to those chants and prayers the whole time. So my mind's not clear necessarily, but I'm listening to that. And so I'm not thinking about anything else. Anyway, I think there are a lot of different ways to meditate. And those are some of mine.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bob. Isabel?
So, Brenda, both questions, I mean, those are things that I think at some point we all feel when we begin to really find emptiness or get in touch with the empty part of ourselves, and call it being, call it whatever. Eckhart Tolle talks about that. He says that that is because we haven't forgiven. I always found that a little bit obscure when I started following his Power of Now for a while. I was wondering about that all the time. There's also, I'm going to get to explain that a little bit, but there's also the part about the pain in the body when you're meditating. I think we all at certain points go through that, or many of us do. And I think that what I've begun to understand is that it's memories in our bodies that are doing that to us. And and we begin to meditate, and as we begin to meditate and start to get rid of those, that's gonna start to go away. It's the same thing with the fear of emptiness. We're gonna be afraid of it because we don't know what's in there. But as we get used to it, little by little, it's going to start to go away. And I think that you're going to find, just with, kind of patience with yourself and understanding that it's a process. You're not going to be able to do it like instantly, and just continue and don't worry about it.
Okay. I think Catherine and Patty.
Brenda, when I first started meditating, probably before you were born, it's a long time ago, I didn't realize that there were so many different types of meditation. And I thought I had to sit a certain way, in a lotus position or a half lotus position. And I never, ever really could do that. So there's so many different types of meditation. You don't just have to sit. You can do walking meditation, like Bob was mentioning. You can do lying down meditation, where you actually get supine and lie down. The danger with that is you might fall asleep, but don't think that you just have to meditate one certain way, and you have to be on a cushion, or you have to be on a meditation bench. I have to sit in a chair. So I do all of my meditating in a chair, or when I'm walking with Shiloh, I do walking meditation, although it's kind of like start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, because he's got to sniff everything, But try something else. Try a different type of meditation. There's a meditation called Metta, M-E-T-T-A, which is loving kindness, where you concentrate on sending loving kindness to yourself and other people. So my suggestion to you would be to explore different types, and maybe you'll be able to connect to one where, you won't have the pain as much, but try something else. It doesn't have to just be that one thing. So good luck to you.
Patty?
I was just going to say pretty much what Catherine said. I still, when I go to the Dharma Center and I sit on those cushions and I have to meditate with my legs crossed, my leg goes numb, my knee hurts, and I have to move my leg out and, adjust myself. But it doesn't, I've stopped meditating for that moment, but I try to stay focused on my mind. But as Catherine said, and I don't know what your pain is, some people have other, different types of pain caused by different things. You just have to find, like Catherine said, the thing that'll work for you. There isn't just one solution. Even Reverend Yu has said you can meditate while you're driving your car, which some people don't suggest, but I do that. So thank you.
Kathy?
I want to kind of piggyback on, maybe it was what Isabel said, maybe what everybody said. I'm just thinking of, when I think of meditation itself, we sort of, I think, have a tendency to bypass sitting, getting into the sitting position. And I'm not saying however it works for you is great, laying down or however it works for you. But there's something about the posture that we take, and because there's a courage. It takes you to be brave every time we sit. And I'm saying that because I call it standing at a threshold or sitting at the threshold. And it's almost this like courageousness to sit, because we don't know. We don't know what's going to come up. And it's almost like sitting there and accepting whatever it is as it is. Not that you have to sit through pain but I'm saying like that there's something about the embrace of just even a moment of that, where Reverend Yu is talking about mindfulness is the key. Even like a moment of that isness, that sort of breathing into what is, no matter what it is, with equanimity, is really incredible and helpful. And then logistically, just from one mom to another, there's a great, with the kids, especially when they were little, I would do stuffed animals on the belly. Do you ever do that? And you lay down with the kids, and I lay next to them in the bed, and you watch, and we watch the breath. They let them watch how the stuffed animal goes up and goes down and goes up and goes down. And it's really lovely. And it was a great meditation for me, and it was a great meditation for them. And nothing hurt because we're all laying down, and they went to sleep really well. So, so I hope that's helpful.
Okay, Diane and then Christine. Yeah.
I was going to say much of what Kathy was going to say, particularly focusing on the acceptance part of it. I know I remember when I took a 10-day retreat, and there was a great deal of sitting, in the meditation posture. And wouldn't you know, I had a horrible, sharp pain in my shoulder, as if somebody were stabbing me from day one. And it didn't stop. It was every day, every time I sat. And like Kathy said, I found that when I worked with acceptance of the pain, and like said, okay, this is a visitor, this is here. Okay, I can do this. I will sit and I will continue my practice, and I'm aware of the pain, but I'm not going to try to push it away. I'm just going to let it be. That, like Kathy said, it kind of fosters a sort of courage, a kind of strengthening of yourself, that you're the master, and you're not going to be dictated to. But on the other hand, I gave myself permission when it became too much. I would say, it's okay. I don't need to be a masochist. It's okay. I can move, and that's okay too. And I accept the shifting of position, or lying down for one hour session, and then getting up and sitting again. That I think the key is acceptance and being focused and strong, but gentle and tender with ourselves at the same time. That's what seems to work pretty well for me.
Christine and then John, and then Tiffany.
So I've really enjoyed listening to what everyone has said about that. And Brenda, my daughter's been home for almost a year now with an infant and a 5-year-old. And I just know that there are days that she's losing her mind just doing that. So the fact that you even try to meditate, I think, is absolutely amazing. I'll tell you one of the things I teach. So I teach yoga, and I always find that and I've been doing it on Zoom, my yogic friends who are mostly my age have lots of hip pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, whatever. We kind of do what Reverend Grace did to start this meditation. We notice where our breath is. Are we bringing it in and feeling it in our nose? Are we feeling it in our chest? Are we feeling it in our belly? And then once we do that, send that breath to the place where the pain is. So breathe in and breathe into that hip or breathe into that shoulder and see if there's any way you can do a little release through doing that. And most of them say that that's one of the things that really helps them. And the other thing is, I would agree with the rest of you about, just accept where you are. Sharon Salzberg, who does a lot with insight meditation, people will say to her, well, how much do I need to meditate and what do I need to do? And she always goes like this: 5 minutes, just do 5 minutes. And then if you're done, you're done, and it's okay. So just start there. And meditation does bring things up. So we know that it'll bubble things into our mind. I think it's Gloria Steinem who said that meditation will set you free, but first it will really piss you off. So, your stuff will bubble up. Just, I agree, accept it. And just some of my thoughts.
I'm going to forget his name, but is it Reverend Jew who had the paper on the different methods of sitting? So he wrote up a paper and gave us a talk saying, what is everybody thinks that sitting on the cushion has some type of, I'm not going to take a judgment over it, but he basically said, you could sit on a bench, you could sit on a chair, you could sit on a cushion, as long as your back is straight. It's really what your torso is doing, not necessarily what your legs are doing, but that's all I know. As far as what's happening in your head, all I know is that I've heard people say that seems to happen with a lot of people when they're starting out. And one of the phrases that's used by the wands is fiery energy and watery energy. And I guess over time, your fiery energy is going to descend and your watery energy is going to rise up. Now, whether that's helpful or not, and in helping you visualize it or letting you accept it, I don't know.
Tiffany and then Diane.
Sure. So I've learned a lot from everyone here, just for my own practice as well. But I have empathy, Brenda, because many times I would sit on the cushion and I would literally have to roll off while quietly saying, "Oh, my Buddha," because I was in just so much pain. But one thing I remember asking Reverend Nam was, I don't think I'm very good at this. So I don't know if this is for me. There was a lot of doubt, I guess. It's something so basic. And someone else who was a part of the Sangha said, there's a progression to it. So you have to measure your steps, kind of like how you were teaching your children how to walk. You stumble a little bit, you fall, you try again, right? So, I just agree with what everyone said. It's just a matter of practice. And one thing I learned so far this semester, I'm in a class with Isabel and Catherine, is the motion, like using your body first before you actually get into sitting meditation, is moving meditation. And I realized throughout the day, you're doing dishes, you're running errands, you're sitting all day, your body is really out of whack. So then you're going to try to sit for half an hour. So it's really difficult, at least it is for me. But being able to use like a gentle motion just to kind of warm your body and your spirit to say you're entering into another realm is just so calming that you actually feel ready. Because a lot of times for me, if there's pain or something bubbling, it's because I just launched right into it. Like I just finished reading and boom, I'm just going to check it off my list that I did sitting meditation. Never works. But with the motion first, to just allow yourself that space, I find is helpful. So it's kind of like Tai Chi. You can look it up on YouTube too, just very 5 minutes even. and hopefully that will make a difference. But I just wanted to add to your efforts. So, but you can do it. Yep.
Very good tip. Thank you for that. Diane? Hey, Diane.
Just as we were talking, it made me think about how, in a way, the pains or the feelings too, the emotions that may come up, especially when you're first starting to sit, that they're really gifts for us, because as you witness them, you start to see they come and they go, and they come and they go, and they're impermanent. So it helps us, even the knee pain or the back pain or whatever, it's impermanent. And if you, for a minute, pay attention to it, you see what you thought, oh, I've got a pain in my knee, but it's not a pain. It's a moving energy that's changing all the time. So that was just one point that came to me as we were talking. And the other was resistance, that when I have a lot, like the stabbing in my shoulder that I was talking about, I said, this is interesting. This is resistance of some kind. This is, for me, it was an opportunity for a 10-day retreat. And look what happens, resistance. So yeah, just to kind of put in the back of your mind, okay, resistance. Interesting.
Wow, Brenda, this is great. You had the whole whole community jumping in. Anyone else then? Or just even a personal reflection. So since this was our first day, I just wanted to kind of have a large group. But what we usually do is we go into smaller groups, just that way it's more focused. But today we just want to see everyone's face. But I want to make sure that I just give, if Tojing or Allison or Chaeyoung wants to jump in at any time, please do so. What I want to do is go over just what the semester is going to look like, just because you may have questions about that. So I'm just going to show you this. So this is, if you go into Populi, or I send this through email, the requirements are as such. So class participation, so it's just coming to class. And then there's the discussion board for those who are enrolled. Then we have a discussion board where you're going to put up, your reflections. And then every week we have what's called individual presentations. And then also at some point you will be meeting with either myself or even you for an interview. So just to give you more idea about the individual presentation. So every week we're going to have one person. We'll have one person who's going to, like every week we have assigned readings. So that person will do the readings, as everyone else will do the readings, but this person will kind of lead it by reading the material and then giving a very short, like a 5 to 7 minute presentation based on the readings. And you can make a connection with your own personal practice or what insights you gained from the readings. So, and then after that presentation, we usually leave some time for either feedback or Q&A. And then myself, Reverend Yu, we will give a talk based on that. And then we will break up into smaller groups and we'll have more focused questions to discuss together. Now, there are not weekly reflection papers this semester. There will be 4 reflection papers this semester, and smiles everywhere. And I will let you know when those are. The first one is January 28th, the end of January. So that will be the first reflection paper. So it will be on the topic. So we'll be having, that'll be about week 4. And by that time, we would have covered the 4th item of mindfulness in daily practice. So your reflection paper can be based on the first 4 items, or it could just be on one, depending on if you feel pulled by a certain item. That is a reflection paper. So it's not weekly, but we have 4. And then we also ask that for people to volunteer to lead meditations. I received feedback from several from last semester, and that was one of the comments, that they really enjoyed the fact that people went around, or there's different ways of guiding meditation. So with that said, we need two wonderful volunteers next week. A presenter who will be focusing on the second item of mindfulness and daily application, and then someone who can lead the meditation from 6:30 to 7. Is there anyone who'd like to volunteer for that? Well, we'll start with the presentation. Is there anyone who'd like to? Yes. Everyone's like this. And okay. Tiffany? Yay! I just saw a whole bunch of smiles and clapping. It was like the stress that just like was lifted off all these shoulders. Okay. Wonderful, Tiffany. And is there someone who would be willing to lead the meditation next week? Christine? Okay, thank you. Okay. And then how about for the following week after Tiffany? Let's just set that up in advance. Is there anyone who would like to do week 3 presentation? That would be on the third item of mindfulness and daily application. Is there anyone? Or okay, then I'll give you some time. Oh, okay, Bob. Yay. Bob will do that. Thank you so much. And then for meditation, would someone like to lead that? The meditation for week 3? Was there anyone who'd like to? Oh, Kathy, great. Thank you so much. Okay, excellent. All right, and then we'll just do that for now. And if there's any questions that you may have, feel free to reach out to either myself or Reverend Yu. And we hope that this will be a very fruitful class. Okay, Reverend Yu, right? He has a meeting 8:30. So that will be it for today's class. This was really about an introduction and just to see each other's faces, and then we will connect again next week, same time, 6:30. There's Brenda's son. He's so cute. Sorry, I kept. And yes, Ida, feel better. Brenda, what's your son's name?
Spencer.
Spencer. Okay, Spencer can join us anytime. Same with Shiloh.
Hi, Spencer.
Yeah, there's Spencer and Shiloh. All right, everyone. So feel better, Ida, and everyone. We will see you next week. Have a good night.
Okay,
Good night.
bye.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.